Oh, yes, the morning after. Welcome, episode 2. And I have a very special lineup here. Let me just sip this coffee. I need the Panadol. I need the coffee this morning. I'm feeling it, guys. That's better. All right. So, goddamn. This first man joins me after covering one of the worst weekends in boxing for MMA fighting. He surely needs something this morning for the hangover the next day. If you're lost, you can look and you will find him time after time. If you fall, he will catch you. He will be waiting time after time. Jed Meshew.
It's all coming back to me now. That's fantastic.
Do you need to speak to someone?
I need to speak to Turkey Al-Sheikh about whatever the hell this weekend was. The boxing. I've seen some of the fights now. So when we talk about the UFC Des Moines thing, I don't know all the things to say because I spent most of this week covering the boxing doubleheader. And buddy, I don't know if you were covering any of that at all, but I hope you weren't because it was tough times out there in the land of the sweet science.
I was at a monster truck show with my kid, which is
that was a way better choice.
I don't know about that. You guys should have told me about how horrible those things are. And this next man has been absolutely killing it for MMA Junkie with his latest trip to ATT with my pal Abby. And now the UFC goes to his home country of Canada. Stats so good, it'll make the pecker hurt. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Mike Bohn is here to light a fire under our ass here on the morning after.
What up? Thank you for having me, bro. I've been wanting to be the part here. These are great shows you're doing. I love that the duos and the combos you're assembling. It's fun stuff.
Yeah, man. Hey, dude, how about this, Jed? Mike's been killing it, huh? We've been watching your stuff. We've been digging it, bro. I really love all the interviews. You and Abby has been smashing it. You've been grinding on the channel. Congrats, man. Congrats.
Thank
you.
Proud
of you, brother. Yeah,
that was a very fun trip. Timing was perfect. It was just having a lot of fighters there. It was so funny. All the fighters I saw in the gym, I'm watching them fight in the past couple of weeks. I'm like, these people are all winning. Like everyone's winning. And I texted Abby, and after that, Santiago Ponzinibbio got knocked out, and then Nickal got knocked out. I think I jinxed them all.
Can we quickly, Jed, did you watch the video of Dustin Poirier teaching a guillotine to Mike Bohn? Did you watch this?
It was
Can
terrific.
I show you quickly?
That's the content we're looking for in this space.
Let's just quickly watch it because Mike Bohn over here, guys, he's a tough man. Never put this man in a guillotine.
So, wait, what?
First of all, Mike, what is going through your head? Was this your idea, Mike, to do this?
It was like a shell of an idea. Originally, we wanted to have Dustin do it to Chris Duncan since he kind of taught him that, where he won it, but Chris Duncan wasn't there. He was, I think, back in like England or something. So it kind of just led to that. We were doing some filming, and Abby went over to him, and he was like, "Mike really wants to do this. Like, you should absolutely do it with Mike." And then Dustin's like, "I really want to do it too. Like, seems like a great idea." And then
I love this here. You're just over here going, "I went on this great trip to ATT, and I might not live to talk about it." DP talking about it.
I was my choices up.
Here we go. Tell us what are you feeling here before you actually go out, Mike?
Yeah, I'm feeling just the light fade quickly and the darkness come in, and then it was literally like 4 seconds, I think, from the time he jumped down to when I went out. It was very fast, and I feel like it didn't even like hurt. For when he was squeezing, you're just out, and next thing I know, I'm on my back, and Mateus Gamrot is shaking my legs, waking me up, and I'm like, okay, this is quite the moment. And then you get up and you're fine. I think the only like lasting thing is like my Adam's apple hurt for probably like a full day afterwards, but then that went away and it was all good.
Holy crap!
You ever gone out before, Mike? Is that your first time going out?
Yeah, like that, 100%. I did jiu-jitsu for like 6 months when I lived in New York. 10 plus years ago at Henzo Gracie's, but yeah, nothing like that. I think the closest I got was someone just like throwing their legs up and kneeing me in the side of the head and almost giving me
You were putting everybody out at Henzo's. You were putting everybody out at Henzo's. Jed, have you been taken out in a jiu-jitsu class? I'm not talking about on a Saturday night after too many whiskeys after law school.
Never been choked out on a Saturday night. I've been choked out in jiu-jitsu plenty of times. You learn to tap, but it's not the worst, but it's certainly not an experience you like want to do again unless you're real weird.
Yeah,
Brian Campbell probably really wants to do it again.
Double
that's his sort of room.
You pay double for that kind of thing.
Not trying to be like Aaron True 2.0 and just like going around the various gyms and being like, leg kick me as hard as you can, Alex Pereira. But this felt like a good one. Dustin, obviously, the guillotine is the whole thing. And I don't know if I had tapped with that video have been as good. I'm not sure.
Not at all. I mean, that's,
are we just going to send you around? Are we going to send you around the country now, Mike, and just have everybody do their finisher too? Like,
no,
I
do not want to. This is a rare situation with the right person at the right time.
You and Francis Ngannou practicing the punching.
Yes, give me a body shot as hard as you can.
Abby's like, stop it! He's already dead. By the way, Jed, I got put out a few times, and I actually find it refreshing. I like it. It's like
just like a little nap.
A little nap.
It was.
I understand why you pay twice now.
You become enlightened afterwards.
Hey, what's happening, fellas, with Bo Nickal as he wakes up the morning after, as he lost to RDR, man, in this unbelievable way, right? Like, it was wild. Jed, I want to go to you first. What do you think is going through his mind as he wakes up and thinks back to yesterday?
I hope what's going through his mind is, I fucked up, right? Like, I said this, there's plenty of video out there, so this is not, me being a Johnny come lately. I've been hammering the drum on this for quite some time. I think Bo Nickal has like seriously mismanaged his career. And I don't know if, this is all his thought, if the people sort of with him think that this is the right way, but there's like a really big issue with how he's approached his career. And it's that he has approached his career as if he is a ready-made fighter, right? As if, frankly, to some extent, as if this is more a formality. Him rising to the top is a given and not something that must be achieved. And so the big issue is that he hasn't fought a bunch. And that's bad from a star building perspective, which I think is like a big piece of that. But it's more bad. He didn't know how to fist fight yet. Like, he's just a supremely talented athlete who has spent his life doing something fighting adjacent. Like, wrestling gives you a lot of the same tools, but it's not the same thing. And I think now that he has lost, everyone can take what I was saying beforehand and look at it rationally and be like, yeah, that's correct. Because if you look at his career now, it is very clear every step of the way he went up in difficulty and looked worse every step of the way. Whereas like a guy who is a ready-made built like a guy ready to come in and do the things he was saying, I'm going to be a minus 1,000 betting favorite against Hamzat. When he goes up and the competition level increases, his performances also increase. And that's how you see. Instead, his performance was roughly flat. And as he fought better people, his performances were worse because he hasn't learned to fight. And this is not to say he can't. It's that he should have spent the first 3 years of his career fighting 4 times a year, just constantly being in the cage. Because what we saw this weekend, and frankly, RDR said so explicitly afterwards, this is the first time he really got punched in the mouth, both physically and like metaphorically. And RDR was like, yeah, I hit him and he didn't like it. And so I was like, I'm just going to keep hitting him. And that was the end of the fight, essentially, because Bo Nickal did this against a guy like RDR, who is a top, I love RDR. He's a top 3 guy in my opinion, because he's my baby, but like certainly a top 15 middleweight, instead of learning this lesson against the top 50 dude. And maybe that's not catastrophic, because if you have to find out about getting punched against a elite guy, you're going to lose. If you learn that lesson while you're fighting some random contender series signee who's the 100th best guy, maybe you can overcome it and you still get the win. And so I hope he wakes up tomorrow and is like, man, okay, this was all bad. I should probably fight 3 more times this year against any warm body to physically learn how to do this activity.
It's fascinating points, because I mean, it's one of those things too, like he's just trying stuff out there. We saw in the Paul Craig fight, and it's almost like, do you weaponize what you're really good at, which is the wrestling, and figure out like, all right, if I'm not going to be able to do the reps that I need to do, how do I just utilize the one skill set that I have, but weaponize it to a degree, like a Khabib or like someone that can be dangerous with it, but also trying to finish the whole time with it. But trying stuff out in the middle of the octagon against the best of the world when you don't have the experience, it's impossible to really do. Mike, there's been a lot of people that felt like Bo was a bit arrogant, like he was kind of like, there were a lot of people that were sort of happy to see this loss. Why do you think there's this notion across the internet when Bo lost that he was a little bit arrogant and kind of, he wasn't connecting with some fans on this one?
I mean, Jed said it right there, right? I think it stems from those comments first about Hamzat on the UFC weigh-in show, where he said, like, I wouldn't be surprised when I'm fighting for the title, I'll be a minus 800 favorite. So yeah, that stuff is going to rub people along the wrong way, especially when you're so young in your career and you haven't proven yourself. I mean, we like it when certain guys do it. And for other guys, it doesn't work out as well. And I think people were kind of waiting for this fall from grace. The last fight was not impressive. So it all kind of just came to a head here. But you asked what is going through Bo Nickal's head. He broke his silence, so to speak, 25 minutes ago. He just posted on Instagram, grateful for the highs and the lows. I'll be back.
That's a real wide receiver tweet right there.
Short and sweet. So,
that's a real wide receiver tweet.
Yeah. That's a rocker from the 70s who just got out of rehab tweet. Hey, brother, I'm grateful for the highs and the lows, all the women in the cars. So, I'll be back on tour. I will be doing a small arena tour to begin with, and hopefully people will come to a stadium. Mike, do you think this is the best thing that could happen for Bo, though? Paul Craig, he didn't look great. He came out here, he didn't look great against RDR. Is this a wake-up call, do you think?
I think so. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I don't know if like you guys have heard the same things I have around the industry. Like there's been questions about his commitment and dedication, how much time he actually spends at ATT and things like that. When I was there, he was there the whole time, training multiple times a day, like looking good in some of the sparring and training I saw. Like it was nothing concerning at all. It just seemed like kind of the next fight here, and everything seemed to be clicking. But yeah, that's me being there for 3 days. You don't know what happens over the course of an 8 or 10 week camp, and you know how dedicated he is really. So the interesting thing too, right? Like on Friday, he posted that thing saying he had cut from like 222 down to 186. I'm sure Renier de Ridder is somewhere in that same like notion of how much weight he cuts, but I don't know. It seems like he was trying to highlight that for us a little bit too, maybe as like planting a bit of a seed. So we can talk about it right now. If he had lost, was the weight cut too much? But who did I also see? I think I saw a few, Aljamain Sterling was it out there today saying that he thinks he's too small for 185 and basically suggesting he should go to 170.
That's such like insane thought. It's like, cause that Aljo is far from the only person I saw. Like there's dudes in the chat asking that right now, you know, or it's just like, no, he wrestled like his entire collegiate career. I think he started at 197. I think he did a year at, and then like mostly wrestled at 184, you know, 92 kilograms or whatever. Like this is fine. Like no, I don't think he physically can make welterweight. If he could, like, I guess, but like, no, that's just, he didn't lose that fight because he's small. He lost that fight because he don't know how to fight. You got to learn how to fight.
Exactly. No, but to answer, I do think this should be the best thing that happens to him. And if it does, like, this will be a defining thing, right? Either this levels him up and he, you know, takes it to the next year, or, you know, he just never pans out to being the prospect we all thought he was going to be. And this is the one we point to. And, you know, maybe he fights in the UFC 10 more times and goes 6-4 or something. And that's kind of it.
Yeah, and I mean middleweight at least, you know, because welterweight's just packed with elite wrestlers. It's like, even though he's obviously the best of the best when it comes to wrestling specifically, you're going to have guys that are going to basically make him stand. And I think middleweight's the place for him. But like I said, like you said, Mike, next one's going to be important. Let's talk about your boy, Jed, RDR, huh? What I love about RDR, what I love about this guy is he's just game to go. Like he was talking about how he's ready. He's moving his family over. He just wants reps. He just wants fights. He just wants to go. When he's in there, you could tell he loves it. He's basically, you know, it's the old formula of the Hamzats or the Israels or, you know, the Alex Okanovskis, guys that love to be in there, guys that want to be fighting the best, guys that are just like, all right, when am I fighting next? When can I be in there? That's a formula that never loses, Jed. I feel like fans are starting to get on the RDR train. Question is, who do you think is next? It should be someone in the top 10, right?
There's 100% someone in the top 10. And yeah, everyone's now going to be on the train. Like this was a great matchmaking from like this standpoint, right? Because if Bo does win, I still think his career has been mismanaged, right? But now this is, you know, still now he's into the rankings and maybe we can keep cultivating a very specific career path for him. If RDR wins, he gets all the juice now because Bo Nickal has the juice, even if Bo Nickal hasn't accomplished nearly what RDR has. And so, you know, the Ritter comes in, gets this. He has now had 3 fights in the UFC, 3 finishes. Like weird. His career path is so similar to my other favorite boy, Dricus du Plessis of just like, okay,
yeah,
like there are clear issues with your technique at times, and like you're kind of awkward and weird and goofy, but you're just down to clown. You're actually super good. And if you followed his career before and you saw like him in one, like, yeah, he has limitations in various points, but this is a guy who is good at fighting, and he just lost to one dude who is a heavyweight. Like, I know that fight, they fought twice, and one of them was at middleweight. It's nonsense middleweight. Like, Anatoly Malkin is a big dude, good defensive wrestler, and hits hard, and he's a heavyweight. Like, he is a guy who's kind of like you said, just sort of built for this, to come in. People are going to gravitate to that sort of energy that he brings with him and the way he fights, because he does not come in shots fired and Lerone Murphy this thing. Like, he comes in and is fun. He is interesting. He's exciting. He's got some personality, and people are now getting to let it show. And I think there's also this part of it where the end of his career with one was so bad. Like, he clearly kind of won it out. He just, like, even at one, he's like, hey man, like, I'll fight Anatoly Malkin. I'm looking for challenges. I want to do cool things. And there's only so much ability for one to kind of cultivate him in that way. Now he's here in the UFC where every fight can be good and meaningful and exciting. And, you know, he got on the mic, called out Sean Strickland. I don't think that fight's going to happen. I do think he's getting a top 10 guy. I said beforehand, and I think that this probably just makes the most sense. Roll out Jared Cannonier. Styles make fights, grappling versus striking. Jared Cannonier just stuffed RoboCop's attempt to charge up the rankings. It seems like an easy match made to me. Shouldn't headline the Apex, even though it probably would, because RDR should be in front of crowds, but wouldn't be the worst thing if that's where it ended up.
What about Roman Dolidze? Do you guys like that fight? Number
also
8.
Fine.
Nah.
That's a good one for people to see, you know, where both guys are at. I like Jared Cannonier as well. I think that's a good one. I think the division's interesting because it's like you do Izzy Strickland, right? I reckon you probably do Kaio Rob Whittaker, maybe?
Or Kyle Imavov. I was thinking that I think Grenier has an outside chance of getting the Whittaker fight. I feel like that's possible.
Really?
If they do it the way you just said there, if they do Strickland and Izzy and Imavov and Baralho, I think that's definitely possible for him.
What is from what you're hearing, Mike? You think Imavov is still
no? I mean, I haven't.
Like
for that fight, yeah, I know that's the one they want. I mean, I know we've seen all the little back and forth that they had there, so it's just like, will Nasruddin take that fight? But I think in the UFC's perfect world, their plan A would be to do that one. Whether Imavov is going to take it remains to be seen. He doesn't seem too interested right now.
I reckon the division's at one of these interesting spots, right? Where it's like in a transition phase. We're waiting to see what happens with DDP and Hamzat. Now, I love that RDR is in here. He's bringing a little bit of fun to the division. And what I was talking to Oscar Willis about this on the phone yesterday. What I love about RDR is just the fact that he kind of brings a little bit of a different style to the division. Like, everyone basically has the same crap that they do in the octagon, but at least this guy is a throwback to, hey, he's going to try and judo throw you and submit you. And he kind of,
I can't strike for shit. I will work in the clinch and on the floor because I can't strike for anything. It's the best.
But isn't that funny? He beat a guy in Bohn Nickal that maybe could take a page out of that book and, do the same thing. Yeah. Do the same thing.
I mean, for him, it's just, great performance. I think Jed nailed it. No notes on what this guy's done in his story. And he delivered on everything he said. I mean, my biggest question to him when we talked pre-fight was like, how do you even prepare for a scenario like this? Like, when is Renier de Ridder ever going to fight a guy who's 7-0 again, right? Like, when's the last time he fought someone who's 7-0? Like when he was super early in his career, maybe, or like something like that, right? Doesn't happen too often. So he knew as little about Bohn Nickal as we did, and he wanted to test it all. And it turns out all the answers went in his favor. But again, we don't know truly how good Bohn Nickal is. So these fights will tell us a lot more about him than he did, like a Whittaker or anyone we're naming right now.
So Whittaker would be a banger. And Whittaker would obviously take it. Whittaker doesn't care. If he can get that would be sick.
For RDR?
Just for a fight to watch. Like, that would just be a fun fight to watch.
Maybe down there by you in Australia, you know, if Jack wins, maybe that pay-per-view they're discussing. If not, maybe that fight night. Who knows? We're getting a little too ahead of ourselves here, but hey.
We're going to have to break that down in just a sec. Taurus Finney versus Bohn Nickal.
I've seen a bunch of people saying that. Why not? Why not?
Honestly, that's not a bad matchup for him.
No one wants to see Torres Finney fight after that last one. At least this is a reason to want to see him fight.
Mike, how far can RDR go in the division? We know Jed loves him. How far do you think? What's the ceiling on this guy? Can you see him in a potentially zigging, zagging, taking the right fights, being in the right place at the right time, and boom, potentially even ending up in a place where he can contend down the track?
Yeah, if he gets the Whitaker fight and he wins that, I mean, you could probably flashback and like overpan conversations about Dricus du Plessis that are very similar to what we're saying about, you know, the awkwardness, bringing something different to the table in this division that you mentioned. So for me to sit here and try to put any cap on this guy, given all his experience and what he's done so far, I mean, that would be foolish. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him in a title fight at some point. My concern about this division right now is just like, when are the title fights even happening? If, you know, we don't know when Khamzat's fighting for the belt. And then when he does, how often is he going to be able to defend it? When is he going to defend it? Because you already have a few guys here, right, that feel they deserve it. Imavov feels he deserves a shot. Baralho thinks he deserves it. I'm sure if Strickland beats Adesanya, if they fight, he might think he deserves it. Like, there is guys there. So, you know, he's going to have to contend with that queue a little bit and then have some perfect timing. But I think one win over a guy like Whitaker, he could be there.
Hey, just quickly, Jed, why does RDR want the Strickland fight so much? Obviously, it's up there in the rankings, but kind of seems like
he wants the best American striker.
The best.
That's what he said.
Because the man understands gimmicks. Like, because no one wants him to call out Jared Cannonier. Who cares about that? Like, okay, like that's a good fight, but no, that doesn't make anybody care. Israel Adesanya, that's kind of like picking on like the slow child. Like, Izzy's lost like 4 in a row or whatever, so that would be like a weird call out. Like Khamzat is fighting DDP, and apparently Nasruddin Imavov doesn't want to fight anybody. I guess he could have called out Kaya Baralho and been like, hey, Imavov won't fight you. I will. I don't give a shit. But like, no, Sean Strickland's got a big name. Sean Strickland is not gonna that's a very, very winnable fight for RDR. And like it's the biggest fight, right? Like, that would be, other than a title fight, Sean Strickland is the biggest fight in the division. And it's one he can win. And if he does win it, his next fight is probably for the belt. So I don't think he'll get it. I don't know why Sean Strickland would take that when the Izzy rematch is pretty straightforward seeming for both of them. Yeah. But, you know, shoot your shot, player. Maybe something happens and it goes.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about the main event just quickly. Mike, what was Figgy doing in that main event with Corey Sandhagen?
I'm not sure. I'd love to hear from him.
What was he doing in that main event with Corey Sandhagen? Can someone please explain?
He had an inexplicable level of confidence in his jiu-jitsu for that fight. I mean, I know he's had some good moments, you know, grappling in the UFC and stuff, but I don't know what the hell was going on there. Was he injured coming in? I really don't know. Did he get hurt by something earlier in the fight? But that was just perplexing stuff, man. And then, he paid the ultimate price for it. Don't do that stuff with Corey Sandhagen. I think if there wasn't a warning before, this is definitely the one. I would not be trying to get in those situations with Corey on the ground.
Jed, when you're watching him go for it over and over for that leg, over and over, and he's like a ship that's gathering water and drowning down and down it goes. Is there a point where you just start laughing and being like, what the hell is happening in front of me right now?
I just was so confused because like it honestly just looked like me if I'm playing a video game and trying to do something. Like I'm playing UFC 5 or whatever, and I'm trying to get the like win a fight by head kick knockout badge. And so I'm just spamming this one thing and hoping it works. Like just like he didn't have other ideas. It was super weird. I would love for him to sort of explain like, we worked this in camp and I feel really good about it. It's just like, that was a bad plan and it super didn't work for him. And now he's in this super weird spot now for Figgy Smalls.
It was a big win for Corey Sandhagen, who has come out of his shell, guys, in a completely different kind of way. First up, I want to play this little video from our bud, Oscar Willis, because he did a little couch session for him. And I feel like Rover was kind of the storyline, right, going into this fight.
Did you see them mention it on the broadcast, too?
Yeah, Michael Bisping mentioned him.
Fitzgerald and Bisping both did.
Bisping over here, we shall shine a light on the late, great Rover. Just a quick couple of seconds from this one.
Obviously, you don't want to speak to people right after you get the scales. So how has the rehydration process been and how do you rehydrate after making weight?
That's honestly kind of one of the harder parts, man. Like I watched my aunt drown my dog when I was a kid. So literally every time I take a drink of water at all, I kind of just envision fucking Aunt Cindy just drowning my corgi, dude.
Anyway,
Oscar can't hold it together. It's the best part of the video.
I just envisioned my Aunt Cindy just drowning my corgi, dude.
Aunt Cindy that's where Oscar's like, done, can't do it anymore.
By the way, congratulations to Oscar. I love it, man. He's like, Mike, you're killing it with MMA Junkie. Oscar's doing some different stuff with Mac Life. This is what it's all about, bro. Like, Jed, you guys are killing it. You and Mike Heck did that Freak Show Fights video. This is what it's all about. Like, we're all trying different shit. And I applaud you guys. You guys are all killing it. But what about this personality from Corey Sandhagen? He had that other great video with his manager where he tries to dress up like Sean O'Malley. And he's like, dude, you know, Sean O'Malley is way cooler than you, this and that. Like, I feel his personality's come out. Before I found him to be a little bit dry. Now his personality's come out, and he gets this marquee win at the right time. Mike, could the stock be any higher on Corey Sandhagen right now?
Yeah, I'm sure he would have liked, a clean knockout or a finish that some people sitting here on Sunday aren't sure if Figueiredo got injured or if he caused that or whatever. But like for the people that obviously know the game well and the way he explained it, how it was intentional after the fact, like this should be viewed as a perfectly legitimate and win that propels him forward. And I think it will. When we spoke prior to the fight, he had a great quote where he said, like, I might not be the title challenger who is on the 10 fight winning streak and the UFC's tried to deny me, like, I'm a Rob or things like that, or the guy that I'm just so popular that I'm going to get it. But the quote he used is like, I'm going to find my pot of luck of just like perfect timing where it goes in my favor. And he may have found it here, being like the only guy in the top 5 who hasn't fought Merab or Sean O'Malley. He's talks about it well. He postponed his honeymoon, as he told me, so he could be cage side to watch the title fight before he even won this fight. So that shows his confidence there. And then, yeah, as you said, he's trying something at least. I mean, how desperate are we to just have people in the sport that try to put themselves out there? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You said, he had a bit of a dry personality. I think he even recognizes that and has said it. So like, he's just trying to do anything to connect with the fans, and he really understands this sport. And the way he explains it, like, he knows it's not about being the best fighter or the most skilled fighter. It's about capitalizing on opportunities and having some fame and momentum behind your name. And he's not a guy that just gets it 100% organically. He has to work for it a little harder than some others. And, God bless him for trying.
He's always been the bridesmaid, never the bride. And now he's getting his big wedding, right? This photo of Sean O'Malley on the crutches, right? He shared it on his social media. We know Sean O'Malley likes to troll, so potentially he is healthy going into this fight. I know that maybe some of us have heard some rumors about maybe he isn't off that photo. Maybe he's not having the best camp. Maybe he's had this operation. I know, like, for example, Casper, he had an operation on his down there as well. And, it's not like the easiest thing to heal up. Let's say Sean O'Malley, Jed, is not 100%, okay? Let's just speculate. I'm not saying that he isn't, but let's just say he's not able to get the reps in the wrestling room. He might be able to make it to this fight, but he knows he's going to be compromised, much like he was in that first fight against Merab. Do you look at this situation and go, fuck, I'm going to call up Hunter Campbell right now. Why don't we just potentially delay this one? Why don't we just get Corey Sandhagen in against Merab at UFC 316? I sit out a little bit, see what happens. Maybe Sandhagen wins, me versus Sandhagen for the belt. I can work back to that. Do you think he should step back in there if he isn't 100% against Merab and potentially replicate what we already saw in that first fight?
If O'Malley is injured, he should super not fight Merab. I don't think he's going to beat Merab anyway, but you need to have all your guns. Like if you're going into that particular battle, honestly, it's probably just better for Sean O'Malley not to fight Merab immediately anyway. Just give him a little more time to build a better skill set to fight Merab. Their fight was, competitive at stretches and in moments, but not close. Like, that was very clear. And so there's no reason to think this fight will go differently. So honestly, just any amount of time is probably better for him holistically. And specifically, if he is injured, then it would be a terrible idea to take this fight, especially because you're getting this fight now. Like, the UFC giving him this fight now makes it pretty clear that they'll just give you the fight whenever you're around. This is not really like a matter of convenience, because Petr Yan obviously like deserves this much more, even if nobody is that interested in that fight. There aren't many clear, like there's not another clear-cut contender. So there's like a little piece of that, but they just like Sean O'Malley, like, screw it, let's do it. So you can sit out. Like, it'll come back to you down the line. Maybe you'd have to fight again for it, but probably not. And if you're not going to be 100% or something close to that going in, you're just hamstringing yourself. Because if you lose twice tomorrow, that's it. It's just curtains for you as far as this goes. So if there's any truth to this at all, Sean O'Malley should withdraw from this fight. And if Corey Sandhagen gets the tap on the shoulder and they say, hey, you're up, kid, would that be the most fair thing in the world? No. Would I be upset about it? Not at all, because that would at least be something new, something interesting. And Corey Sandhagen, probably doesn't quite deserve it yet. He did lose, less than a year ago, but far worse contenders have happened in this day and age. And I would be okay with that if that's where we ended up.
Calling a bit of an audible, Mike. How do you think, first of all, give me your thoughts on that, and how do you think a Corey Sandhagen Merab fight would look?
Probably like most of Merab's other fights, he's gonna probably take him down and control him in spurts, but maybe not threaten seriously with the finish. I'm sure he has to be a little more scrambly. I mean, given what we've seen Corey be able to do, he had some really good moments against Umar as well. I think like he would be prepared for that fight, but if you're giving me the option of like a injured to what degree, maybe Sean O'Malley or a Corey Sandhagen on a 1 month turnaround with no real camp for this particular style, like I don't really feel great about either of those options, if we're being perfectly honest. I don't know. I guess it would just really depend on the extent of how hurt Sean is, but everything Jed said there is, completely true. He already did this song and dance once hurt. Like if you do it again, people absolutely aren't going to care. Like what is the little bit of intrigue we have in this rematch? It's like, oh, Sean O'Malley was hurt, got the surgery after the first fight. Like it did seem like a legitimate injury he had to get an operation on. If you have that there again, I mean, this just feels like even more so of a pre-written, predetermined kind of ending here. I would not feel good about that. So I don't know, how long ago was that photo from? That was actually my first time seeing that.
It was a couple of weeks ago. And again, like he could be trolling us. I don't know what you guys, I don't know if you're hearing anything on the back end, Mike. I don't know what we can say or can't say, but that was from a couple of weeks ago. And if there's any truth to it whatsoever, I'm just saying this is going to be like a TJ Dillashaw moment. When he went in with that shoulder and we were all like, dude, like you shouldn't have gone in with his shoulder, bro. Like he basically just took up air going in here and just kind of ruined this whole matchup. That's how I feel about Sean O'Malley going in here. If he's not 100% and we see, I think the first one, it was forgivable and you're like, man, the guy was injured. You do that again. I think a lot of fans will be pretty pissed off, especially in the main event of this pay-per-view. That's already not the greatest pay-per-view in the world. Like, can you imagine if that comes out and then he's like, oh, I wasn't 100%. Blah, blah,
well, I mean,
blah.
if you're not a fan of Sean O'Malley, maybe it's a great night for you. But I don't know, like in terms of, us wanting to get the best quality title fight and product and all that stuff, like, yeah, of course, that's that would suck big time. And the first fight, I understand why I didn't pull it was, Noche UFC, Sphere, all that stuff. But in
you just couldn't, right? Like you just can't pull out if you're the lead guy for that.
I mean, he was probably getting paid nicely for it. He had the confidence as the champion. I'm sure he thought he was going to win. He deluded himself into thinking so. But here, like, this is Newark. This is just another pay-per-view. Like you said, Jed, you would probably get your shot rescheduled down the line against the winner of the fight.
For sure, man. Jed, what happens with Petr Yan now?
Dude, I don't know, man. Like, let's take a look at where Petr Yan is currently in the UFC rankings. Because like he's on that 2-fight win streak.
Videos of him and Aldo in Thailand having fun. That's what I see him doing 90% of the time. Everyone's going to Thailand. Dan Hooker was in Thailand. He did like a one-man, like 1 minute fight tournament over there. Like,
dude, Thailand's wonderful. If you've never been, you should go. Thailand rocks. It's not that far from you either. Like it's like far, but not that far. Here's the thing about Petr Yan. I don't have any idea what the hell he does because he's fought like most of the dudes. So I guess it's just he fights Umar because that's like one of the only dudes near the top of the weight class that he hasn't fought. And they're both sort of in the mix. And if he beats Umar 3 in a row, they'll probably give him a title fight. But like that's a tough ask if you're Petr Yan. So I don't know if he like really wants to do that, but it's the only fight that makes sense to me for him, because everything else, like he fought Song Yadong, he's fought Corey, he's Merab is the champion. He's obviously fought Merab and Sean. So I guess Umar would be the option.
It's an interesting one because, I mean, or does he wait? But I don't know.
I don't think he can wait.
Is Sandhagen, Mike, is Sandhagen is next for the belt in your opinion after whatever happens with O'Malley and Merab?
I don't know. It really depends. Like if O'Malley wins, are we getting an immediate trilogy?
Not a chance.
Yeah,
I'll bet hot money that if Sean wins, they are gonna leave that thing like a crime scene.
Is that more?
He's gonna have to win 10 in a row again.
Yeah, quicker than Belal getting a rematch. Jed?
I think he would be quicker. I think Merab, for better or worse, has at least endeared himself to some degree of the fan base. I think Belal's still trying to navigate his way through that, let's say, but. Yeah, I think Corey has probably positioned himself to be next, but I don't know. It's timing. Like, does the UFC need this pay-per-view in America, or do they need it in Abu Dhabi? Because if it's in Abu Dhabi, Petr Yan probably has a much better chance than if it's taking place in, Louisiana as the co-main event or something. Who knows?
Corey, here's it. This is it. Corey is next if Merab wins. Because no one cares to see Merab Petr a second time. Like that fight was so uncompetitive that Merab is going to have to really make a statement for people to get up about it. Whereas at least Corey's a new matchup. If Sean wins, they're not doing Merab, and I would be real surprised if Sean wins and they're not like, okay, the Petr Yan rematch, let's do that now.
You don't think you can promote it? I saw ESPN today praising Jose Aldo for stopping 16 takedowns against Merab. Petr Yan stopped 3 times that many, so it's 3 times as impressive of a loss.
I mean,
there it is. There's the stats. He's hitting us.
Bringing in those stats. How many did he give up though? I know he stopped them because Jose gave up
for 49 or something.
Jose gave up 0 because he's Jose friggin' Aldo. That's what should happen. So we're clear. Jose Aldo beats Amin Zahabi this weekend. He should get the next crack at Merab because he's the only person who's been remotely competitive with him.
We're going to talk about this in a sec, but can we match him up with can we give him some good fights before the guy retires? God damn, man.
No, they can't because they hate him.
What do we do with Jose Aldo? You put him in the Hall of Fame and now this is what he gets? God damn.
My low-key conspiracy theory that I think I really believe is that the UFC secretly hates Jose Aldo and that the last 10 years have been an orchestrated smear campaign without actually bombing him publicly. So people are like, Alexander Volkanovski is the GOAT featherweight, which is just almost objectively not true. And they're like, and we're just going to have him fight Mario Batista and Amin Zahabi. Because
why do you think they hate him? Because he pulled out?
I don't know, because they're having him fight Amin Zahabi and Mario Batista.
Yes.
This is when I saw the Zahabi thing, I go, you guys got to be fucking with me now. That's got to be not. I'm like, this is April 1st. What the hell is going on? By the way, Alex Volkanovski is the greatest featherweight of all time, Jed. Petr Yan maybe a rematch with Corey Sandhagen, Mike? Do you reckon there's enough steam there for that?
Yeah, I mean, you could do that if, Sean O'Malley wins the title and is injured and has to, get another surgery and be out for a while or something like that. That's the title fight or the title eliminator to make, all things being equal. But again, it's going to come down to timing, who wins, who's available, and where they need a spot. And, Merab did say at the beginning of the year, right, he wants to defend his belt 3 times this year. So there's going to be another opportunity for someone in Q4, you'd imagine.
By the way, Merab's been busy. Have you guys seen the video of Ray Longo and John Anik talking about all the corners Merab's been in lately? The guy's been in all these random chicks' corners that are just and then Merab's over here, and then Merab's popping up in this chick's corner, and then he's in this chick's corner. Apparently, he's been enjoying champ life, Jed. Can't blame him, man. He's on
that Alex Pereira go to every event. He's just all around.
Speaking of events that are going to be all around, it's UFC in Canada this weekend. Mike, congratulations! It must feel good. I'm going to go to you first. Rate this pay-per-view. Rate this pay-per-view for me out of 10. Homecoming.
Just the main card or the entire
Let's event? Just do the main. Well, give me the best rating you can.
Okay, so the main card's actually pretty good, honestly. I mean, we don't know who's going to be in for Joel Alvarez, who we found out. Jed, you're shaking your head. What if they get Mauricio Hoofy in there?
I'm so sad.
What if it's Mauricio Hoofy?
I mean, that's still cool, but Joel Alvarez is another one of my guys.
Okay.
And that fight is legitimately
I wasn't aware
like
he was on Team Jed.
Mike Bohn is on the Canadian tourism board right now, and he's like, "What can I say? That won't get me fired."
Joel Alvarez has been a Team Jed guy for some time.
This is an amazing event. Can I do 11 out of 10? No. Okay, so just the main card.
Be honest with us, Mike. Come on, just be honest. What do you think?
I've seen many worse pay-per-view main cards than this. I don't really know. I mean,
it's not bad.
The last pay-per-view we had was headlined by Strickland versus DDP, and the one before that was Amanda Nunes versus Irene Aldana. So, like, this is, I think, probably a more interesting main event to me than either of those. I mean, I was pretty interested in DDP and Strickland the first time, to be fair. I'll give it a 6.8 out of 10. How's that?
Oh, that's not bad. That's a pass.
It's passable. You got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 former champions on this card. Could be worse. We'll see.
Jed?
I think this card's actually pretty decent. I'm just really, really disappointed. Legitimately, the Joel Alvarez Benoit Saint-Denis was my most anticipated fight of the year. Like, after we got the Eddie Hall Pudzianowski fight, which was my number one for almost a year.
Yeah.
Like after that was done looking, I was like, yeah, pretty easily. Alvarez been, because that's just like, Benoit Saint-Denis is so damn fun. Joel Alvarez has been my guy for a really long time, and he's like finally starting to crack the top, 15, 10 at lightweight. And then this sort of like that fight was just going to be gangbusters. So it loses like the juice, but that's not the name brand. Like, that's not the value proposition to this card. That's just the like, man, that's why I would love this card. The main card is still very good. I know Belal Muhammad is not the most interesting fighter. Like, his in-cage performances are usually not that fun. Jack Della is fun. And so this fight could be good. It could be boring. Like, I think there's a high likelihood, but when people look at this card and think that it sucks, I think a lot of it is, well, we wanted the Shavkat fight. And so this feels lesser because it is lesser. And, well, we just are anticipating Belal's going to run through him, and this is going to be a classic Belal performance. And if that's how it turns out, okay, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe he's a little more fun, a little more exciting. He has had good moments for stuff like that before. And maybe Jack Della does the damn thing. That would be pretty sick too. So objectively, the main event is a good fight. The co-main event is the best fight you can make in women's MMA that doesn't involve Amanda Nunes, returning to the sport, basically. So I think the co-main event,
though, Jed, but okay.
It doesn't, but like, I legitimately am pumped about the co-main event, even if it might not be the most exciting. Like, this is elite level mixed martial arts between one of the greatest champions ever and a very deserving contender. The Jose Aldo fight is an atrocity, and I will be livid the entire time it is going on. But Jose Aldo probably can actually still win this, because I don't think Gaiman Zahabi is that good. And then, Alexa Grasso and Natalia Silva is a objectively good fight. So the main card is strong. Then the undercard. The main card, I would say, is legitimately as strong as just about every other pay-per-view this year. I mean, they've all been fairly weak, but I think that this is right in line and above some of them. And the undercard is the same as the other pay-per-views, where there are a couple of decent fights. It's, regionally coded in a lot of ways. So it's fine. Like, Mike Malott is there. Honestly, one of my bigger issues with this fight, I do not understand why two Canadians fought this Saturday, particularly when literally the best active Canadian fighter is Jillian Robertson. And there's no reason she fought in fucking Des Moines, Iowa, instead of in Montreal. Like, she is the best active Canadian fighter. And there's like, yeah, screw it. Fight in Des Moines. Like, you could swap out any of these random other fights and have Jillian fight this upcoming weekend. It would have made more sense.
Just quickly, I want to shout out Navajo Sterling. He's going to be on the prelim card. For people that don't know, he comes from CKB, and he has a big potential coming up into light heavyweight here. And hearing but nothing but good things from the boys over there at CKB about this guy. Yeah, apparently there's a real potential here for him to be a future contender. So if you do check out the card, shout out to Navajo and the boys, and check out that prelim. I think it'll be an interesting one to see down the track where he ends up. Mike, this welterweight title, I think Jed hit it on the head. There's a lot of big questions, right? Depending on who wins, the title is going to potentially maybe go back to Australia. Let me ask you this. What do you think is the most likely scenario if JDM beats Belal here for the title next? And where do you think it happens? Do you actually believe it would happen in Australia? They keep saying around September.
I think Jack defends the title in Perth against Islam. I think that's what we.
Islam would come back to Australia.
I think he would. I think fighting at 170.
You're not over there, Jed. What are you?
100%.
100%.
I think so too. I mean, and at 170. I mean, people say the shortened hydration window at 170 that would be less of a concern, right, than the 155 cut, not having that full rehydration time. And then outside of that, what would be his issue with going back there?
Just a long ass flight, man. And I know last time.
Is it any further than Dagestan to?
You do also have to fight at 2 a.m. or whatever, which kind of sucks. But I think he'd still do it.
No, they fight. They'd probably fight around noon.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man.
Yeah,
you get up, you get a coffee, you go watch the fights. It's actually not too bad over there in Jed. It's so funny for you guys because when I watch the fights here live, it's like on a Sunday afternoon. Yeah. Like I'm having a coffee. I'm having a nice breakfast. Everyone down your way is just getting blasted, right? Yeah. Just bleed, and I'm just having a nice little breakfast.
I would say, or it's 3 a.m. and you're watching fucking Belal Muhammad lay on Jack Della for 25 minutes, and you're like, please end this.
We're going to break down the fight in a sec, but before we get to that, so you believe, Mike, that Islam is truly waiting to see what happens in the outcome of this fight?
I don't know if it seems everyone is waiting for the outcome of this fight. If not, why don't we have the UFC 317 main event, right? So I think it's, at this point, it's 5 days away, 6 days away. Like, why we've waited this long, you might as well wait and see what happens. And I do expect Dana White to probably walk to that press conference after the fight and tell us what's up, make some announcements. Either, Islam is vacating or they're doing an interim or something like that. But I do think if Jack wins, that will be the way they go, which I'm sure is going to piss off Sean Brady and Shavkat and Buckley if he beats Usman. But this is a rare exception for Islam to be able to move up to 170, have the chance to tie Anderson Silva's record for the longest winning streak in UFC history at 16 consecutive fights, win a second belt, become the 10th fighter or whatever it is to be dual champion. I mean, this is all good stuff. This is rare stuff. And what a glorious opportunity for Jack Della Maddalena, who would be the new Jan Blachowicz against Israel Adesanya on one of the strangest champion versus champion randomness fights that we'd ever get. But it would be awesome for him. He'd get a nice payday.
Oh, yeah, man. He's like the guy that had a few drinks and ended up at the wrong party, but it's a good one. It's a good kind of party to be at. Jed, if Belal beats JDM here, what's next for the title?
Dude. My guess is Belal wins. It's just Belal Shavkat, in the fall, sometime there. If they're, I'm trying to think of what that fall schedule usually looks like. They usually go to Abu Dhabi. I don't know if they do that fight there. They could, certainly wouldn't be bad.
You don't think Buckley Usman might squeeze?
No chance.
Really?
If Usman wins, maybe. But Buckley's not. No, Buckley's sixth in line.
Puts him out? What if he just puts him out cold in the first round?
Then he knocked out a dude in a 3-fight losing streak. This is not me telling you Joaquin Buckley is bad or that this is right. This is me telling you what it is. Joaquin Buckley is like the 5th dude in line right now at welterweight. It's just a tough scene
behind him. I feel like Sean Brady's behind him.
I think they are both in a tier of here. Sean Brady did at least just beat the shit out of Leon in a way that nobody else has ever beat the shit out of Leon. And so he's got that juice, but the most likely outcome is Buckley and Sean Brady fight later this year. And the winner of that, you cannot deny for a title fight at that point. Yeah. But Ian Machado Gary is also sort of just in this mix of kind of there, but behind Shavkat and behind Islam, if that happens. And everybody's just going to have to win one more fight or be really banking on timing being their best friend. And it could happen for any of them, but none of them are bulletproof. Shavkat's the only guy I think is bulletproof. And that's not even forever, right? Eventually, if you just aren't in the picture for long enough, some things might happen. And so I do think the timeline still should line up. Belal has been very open about, wanting to fight Shavkat anyway. And so if Belal wins, my guess is that it's the fall. These two get booked. They have both now functionally pulled out of that fight, one apiece. Right. And so it's he can't be well, Shavkat had a chance and he blew it because he pulled out of the fight in December. So I think the righteous path will exist. That fight will be what's next if Belal wins.
I want to see Ian Gary versus Leon Edwards. I like that fight. Let's make that fight happen. They got a bit of beef in the gym.
Sure.
I feel like Ian Gary can kind of, Sean Brady himself into a potentially better spot. He's not ready for a title shot yet, I reckon. And it's funny that Shavkat's been quiet, man, but I guess that's the culture, right? Those guys don't really talk shit.
Well, I mean, he fires some, or his manager, whomever tweets on his behalf, gets some good stuff out there. But yeah, the fact that
nothing, right, Mike? That's weird. Nothing.
Yeah, no, the fact that he's not putting any of that out there makes me wonder, like, how his recovery is going. And as Jed said there, you just don't exist in that octagon for long enough. People forget about you, and by the time he does fight, say it is October, you're looking at 22 months at that point with one fight. Like, it's not great.
All right, let's just quickly preview the fight. We'll go to our top 3 Canadians before we run out of time. And Mike, you're definitely on that list for all of us, so we don't even have to mention you. That's just a given. Jed, in this main event, what does JDM have to do to beat Belal here? He's going to try and control JDM. He's going to try and push him up against the fence. He's going to try and wrestle him, and he's going to try and get onto his hips, just like Gilbert Burns did in their fight, and sort of drag him into hell over those 5 rounds. What can JDM do here to win this belt?
JDM needs to either knock out Belal immediately or have gotten in like the Dragon Ball Z special like training world where you can train for 30 years and it goes by in 20 seconds to have learned how to wrestle, because this is not like a one time, like Gilbert took him down at will. Basel Half is like almost beat Jack's ass because he just can wrestle, and apparently Jack has just never learned that ability. I got to tell you, Belal can wrestle, and he can wrestle for 25 minutes at the exact same pace, which is a nightmarish. So, like if I'm in Jack's corner, and unless he is, he's been out for a while, so unless that long period of time off, he has secretly become like a national level defensive wrestler. I would be like, hey, Jack, our plan is going to be a lot of flying knees and hope we catch him, because we got to spin the roulette wheel and just try and spike it, because otherwise we are going to lose the most predictable fight of all time.
I keep hearing from his camp, I don't know, and obviously he's been working with Craig Jones on this and Arsenal Volkanovski. Apparently JDM has actually pretty good defensive wrestling. He just chooses kind of not to.
He chooses to not,
because he's
been sandbagging for this exact moment.
That would be incredible if that was true.
Well, I don't know. I think this is a guy that's addicted to just trying to take people's heads off. And I feel like if in this fight, he's got to let that go and be a bit more strategic. Mike, what do you think? Do you think he can get this done?
I think there's reasons to believe maybe he could. I mean, we know his stuff on his end that he's been like out for a while, but Belal too, right? Like he's that toe and that foot that he had to pull out of the fight with did not look pretty. He's been out 9 months at this point. He's 36. He's got a lot of miles on the body as well. He trains as hard as anyone. So like to say, could Belal Muhammad show up looking maybe a few steps slower, maybe a little old or something, like that's in play. And Jack has the advantage of being 28 versus his 36 and definitely has a lot more fight finishing ability that is proven. So it's not impossible, but Belal's just looking so relentless. I mean, you hear this guy like talking about walking out with the flag. I'm not going to allow those people to see me lose, like all this stuff. He seems like he can maybe tap into a different level of fuel and motivation that maybe we don't understand all the way. So I don't know how that translates into his performance, but that guy is real tough to deal with, man. And he's now got that confidence of how he is able to strike with Leon, even in that fight and the bits they did. I didn't think he looked bad by any means. If he goes in there and like actually says, I'm not going to shoot any takedowns, Canelo hands, like all that stuff, I mean, that would be pretty idiotic. He doesn't strike me as the sense that would actually follow through with that, but that would certainly open up a gigantic door for Jack. But if Belal fights as the guy who has won these past 10 fights I'm looking at, I think we see him win again.
That's what he said to me. But I'll tell you, the other thing with JDM is he has no head movement. So those shots from Belal, they add up over 5 rounds. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe that's the plan, though, because that's how you trick a grappler into not grappling. If they punch you a bunch and suddenly they're like, actually pretty saucy with these mitts, I might get the knockout.
Oh, wait, it was already like that.
Yeah, it's like, maybe I just start punching him a bunch. I'm feeling good. And then bam, there it comes. Like, that's not a bad idea, honestly. Because like, if your idea is to not use wrestling, that's a bad idea.
Who was that one guy who used to pretend he was hurt and then he would knock people out? He did it a few times. Yeah. So
Pete Sell
against Scott Smith.
Go the Pete Sell technique.
I think it's the Scott
Smith. It was Scott Smith against
Scott Smith.
Pete
Yeah. But I gotta say, I am interested to see what happens with the belt here. As we go to our top 3 Canadians before we wrap up, basically what I wanted to do here is, because we're going back to Canada, we love Canada here in Australia. I know you guys love it over there as well in America, Jed. I want to talk about our top
51st state.
Canadians. A baby. And I want to start with our number 3, and we'll throw out some notable mentions as well before we wrap. And one of those notable mentions is, of course, you, Mike. You've been killing it. You're one of our favorite Canadians out there. So let's just get that out of the way. The Ayatollah of rock and roller. Jed, go to me with your number 3 to begin with. What do you have? And this could be anything. Athlete, actor, whatever.
Can we go first? You gave 0 definition of entertainers.
I just messaged the guy in the middle of the night and I was like, hey, just come up with your top 3 Canadians.
Easiest thing in the world.
Whatever you guys want. It could be an athlete, entertainer, comedian. It could just be someone that's special to you personally. Just drop them in the top 3 for me. And you guys can do the same in the chat. Jed, hit me with your number 3.
This was the easiest list in the world, and I reached out to some Canadians. They vetted it. You know, you can have choices here, right? But
of course,
I'm at least certain that nobody can take umbrage with any of my picks. We'll start out with just Keanu Reeves, who's
is
just
he
like
Canadian? Is Keanu Reeves Canadian?
One of the coolest people who's ever been born.
That's a great.
There's no debating that. That's
like,
and that's your number 3.
Neo, John Wick. Trying to just one of the coolest people. He's in the Kung Fu Panda. He's doing everything.
Oh,
he's
yeah, man.
Whatever.
Yeah. Speed.
Bill and Ted. Come on.
Oh, man. The other one where he does all the jumping out of the planes. What's that one again? With Patrick Swayze. Anyway, love it. All right, number 3, Mikey. What do you got?
So my 1 and 2 were super easy. It came to my mind, and then 3 was I'm damn, how do you pick through a million different people? I'll go with Neil Young. Just
Neil Young.
That's the one musical element I had. I mean, I was debating
well,
I'm not going to go with Bieber or The Weeknd or Drake or anything like that. I mean, you could have done those, but I tried to do something a little more classic here.
God damn, you're a bit of a Neil. Is he on your playlist, Mikey?
I mean, you have multiple playlists, so it depends on the vibe.
God damn. I love it. Put the lighting down. Put a bit of.
I was torn between him and Norm Macdonald too. That was going to be my next maybe there, but
no, it's more fitting for Norm not to even be on the list though. You know, that feels like Norm's vibe to be the guy that's overlooked.
I agree. We'll go with that. That's the reason why.
But don't you think Norm Macdonald would have been a great MMA media member? I could just imagine him in the press conference. Dana there. I see you just ripped off all the boxing people. How's it feel? Anyway, Jed, number 2, hit me with it.
Again, so like Mike, there were 2 that were immediate of just I feel like if you just asked anyone this list, these 2 would be on it. And then Keanu was the 3rd guy who was oh yeah, for sure, Keanu. Also a musical element. I feel like it should be the musical element. Celine Dion.
Celine Dion.
It's just one of the greatest to ever do it. One of the greatest vocalists of all time. My Heart Will Go On. It's all coming back to me now. Just a monster out there and repping the country forever. So obvious.
Love it. She's a throat goat. Congratulations, Celine Dion. Number 2 on the Jed. What about you, Mikey? What you got cooking number 2 here?
She came to mind as well. Alanis Morissette was also someone you were debating a little bit, but I went to the more the actor comedian route. I put Mike Myers. I mean, come on.
Oh, Mike Myers.
Come on.
Mike Myers.
I mean, an absolute legend. That was the second one that came to my mind immediately, and I'm curious to see now if me and Jed have the same number 1 or what direction you went.
I don't know.
Jetty, what are we cooking here? Number 1. You said this was easy.
This is super easy. It's being put in the chat right now. It's Jim Carrey, also actor, comedian. Jim, just the Canadian, and one of the most significant comedic and actors of my lifetime. To if you were a kid who grew up in the 90s, Jim Carrey meant to just a whole shitload to you.
Oh yeah,
and so just. This was the easiest choice. Okay, so Jim Carrey, Celine Dion, who's the 3rd? They were no question about it. Jim Carrey forever.
Mikey, what did you got?
Ditto. Yeah, of course.
Jim Carrey.
Yes, of course. That was
Living Color. Was that the show that he
Living
was
Color
on?
is incredible.
Show? Yep.
I mean, a million others. He's one of my favorites ever. Although I feel like he's kind of kind of distance himself from his Canadian identity. So I did at least have some pause of maybe punishing him by not including on the list, but I decided not to. And here he is, number one. He gets like he's the John Jones. You could not include him if you don't want to really consider, some certain asterisks, but we're opening it to all things here. So Jim Carrey, easy.
Jed, I could see Mike Bohn at the Fighters Only Awards when he gets nominated for Journalist of the Year doing a Jim Carrey.
I don't even remember
it's
the last
two-time Fighter Award nominee Mike Bohn, and he's like, then I have a dream that I would be the 3-time Fighter of the Year nominee Mike Bohn, because then I would be happy at last and this whole thing would be over. Now, the guy gives the best red carpet speeches. I love it. Hey, by the way, guys, my top 3 quickly. I can't believe you guys fucked this up to this level. I got Bret Hart at number 3, right? Come on.
I'm not a pro wrestling guy, so that means nothing.
Jim Carrey at number 2. I got your number 1 at my number 2 because the number 1 Canadian is John Candy.
John Candy was the guy I was like, ooh, should I put him in here over Keanu? But no, I feel comfortable with the Keanu.
Yeah, the Bret Hart show is a good one. I just didn't put any athletes, I guess, because I wasn't sure exactly where we were drawing the line of entertainers.
Well, look, I
feel like pro wrestlers certainly entertain.
Some of them.
I think a lot of people like in Australia learned about Canada from South Park and Bret Hart. I was also going to say that Michael J. Fox, Keith Sutherland, Wayne Gretzky, of course, Drake, wherever you sit on the beef.
Donald Martin Sutherland. Short. Don't just give Keith for the shout. Give Don a shot.
Donnie, designated survivor. Martin Short, Jim Carrey, of course. Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds, Norm. Shout out to Norm. We mentioned him. Leslie Nelson, right? I am serious.
Alexander.
You're reading the Google list of notable
Will Arnett and Dan Aykroyd, right?
Alexander K. Lee. Don't leave him out.
Okay.
AK, you just missed my list.
George St. Pierre. Come on.
Wait, is Alexander K. Lee Canadian?
Sure is.
Yeah. Oh, shout out, Alexander. Okay. All right, guys, that is it for Submission Radio Morning After. Please follow Mike Bohn as he is on the ground at UFC 315, covering the hell out of this event. Mike, just quickly, what can people look out for? You'll have a few exclusives, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I head over there Tuesday. Pretty standard fight week. Media day Wednesday, press conference Thursday. Friday, they're doing a Q&A before ceremonial weigh-ins with GSP, Rory McDonald, which should be interesting. Haven't heard from
Rory's back.
And I believe Valerie Letourneau, former UFC title challenger. And then, of course, Fight Night Saturday. So,
talking to ghosts in the Q&A, I'd love to see what Rory has to say. What about you, Jed? What's cooking up for you, my man?
It's 314 coverage. We're
315, baby.
315, brother.
Dude, they all run
314 during 315 week.
I'm still hungover from that shit ass boxing weekend that I spent.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on that.
We shouldn't. It was terrible. Very briefly, I will say, of the 6 fights with the fewest punches thrown, 3 of them happened this past weekend. It was incredible. Like the Devin Haney fight, they were like, this might set the record for fewest punches thrown. And then 2 more happened in the same weekend on top of it. It was awful.
See, things can only go up here, man, with your 314 breakdown. So make sure to follow. Shout out to Mike Heck. Shout out to you, Abby, the whole team at MMA Junkie. That is me for the week. Look out for a very special, listen to this, fellas, Submission Radio live this Thursday with my good friend, Bas Rutten. He's coming on the show. We're talking all things smashing machine, pub fight stories. He's going to break down the welterweight thing. He's a friend of the show. How good is that? Get a legend on. Let's have a chat with him. And of course, a few other things dropping here on Submission Radio. Thank you so much, fellas. And let's take those Panadols because this is the morning after.